And welcome back, it's Jason Walter here, and here's your latest housing market update through mid-March this year. This is based on Redfin's report that was just announced yesterday at the time of this video. So in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about home prices, home sales, housing inventory, and of course, much more for the nation as a whole. So let's go ahead and dive right in. This report again covers the 4 weeks ended March 12th this year. So let's first talk about home prices across the nation based on the median sold price in the US. And this again is based on data for 400 plus US metros that Redfin tracks on a weekly basis here. So the median sold price in the US is just under $356,000. That's down 1.8% compared to the same time frame 1 year ago. And that's the biggest decrease in at least a decade, according to Redfin's monthly data set, which goes back through 2012. So based on the median sold price in the US right now, it's down by about 2% compared to 12 months ago. And that's the biggest decrease on a year-over-year basis, going back to at least of 2012. One thing I do want to mention is that this would imply that prices are going down. When you actually look at prices ever since more or less February this year, prices have actually been increasing, but not increasing at the same rate we saw last year. So when looking at home sold prices compared to the peak of last year, which is in June, prices are only down by 8% right now. So when comparing home prices right now compared to the peak from last year on a national level, we're only down by about 8%. The best way to share this with you guys is to have a look at this chart right here. So in orange, this is 2023. Orange, 2023. Red is 2022. Here's 2021. And of course, at the bottom here is 2020. So here's what I mean by this, because for January through mid-February, just like every single year, prices went down slightly. But ever since really the middle of February, prices have been increasing, but not the same rate we saw last year. That's why we're seeing negative growth on a year-over-year basis right now. Again, a friendly reminder for you guys, when talking about any stats that have to do with a closed home sale, this is a lagging indication of our housing market, what our housing market was like 1 to 2 months ago, which frankly, 1 to 2 months ago, rates were much less than they are today. So back in January, average rates were about 6.2%. Now rates are hovering around 6.5 to around 7%. So of course, time will tell to see how home prices change or fluctuate over the next couple of months. Now talking about home price fluctuations, when looking at the 50 most populous US metros, 24 of those have now posted negative price growth compared to 1 year ago. So prices down compared to 12 months ago for 24 of the 50 most populous metros. In fact, the biggest drops were actually in Northern California. San Jose, California, just south of San Francisco, down 17.2% on a year-over-year basis. And that experienced the biggest decrease in the nation here, at least for the 50 most populous metros. And that was followed by Austin, Texas, down by 13%. After Austin was San Francisco, down by 11%. Oakland, California, just east of San Francisco, down by 11% as well. In Sacramento, California, where I live and work as a real estate agent, it's down by 8.6%. And this is the biggest sales drop since at least 2015 for San Jose, Austin, and Sacramento. If you guys follow the channel, you guys all know that I'm not a big fan of reporting year-over-year changes, because that doesn't really tell us what's happening right now in the US housing market. So for example, in San Jose, California, when comparing prices right now compared to the peak last year, they're down by 21%, even though they're only down by 17% on a year-over-year basis. So here's San Jose, California. The median sold price is a whopping $1.277 million, $1,277,000. And that's a decrease of 15% as of March 5th. Now for March 12th, it's down by 17.2%. But when comparing prices at more or less 1.3 million versus the highs we had about 1.6 million, just over $1.6 million that was set more or less in April and May of last year, that means the median sold price in San Jose, California has decreased by 21% from the highs we saw last year. Something else worth noting regarding San Jose, actually one of my subscribers actually asked about San Jose, which by the way, I'm going to provide a detailed analysis regarding home prices in each of the major regions in here in California, as well as each of the counties as well. I'll probably post that next week when looking at home prices in each of the counties here in California. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, in San Jose, California, something you guys should be aware of is, look at this, more or less 1.277 million is the median sold price. Look at this, 2021 this time though, it was 1.217. So a difference of about $50,000 compared to just 2 years ago. So home sold prices in San Jose are very, very close to 2-year lows. Also, have a look at Austin, Texas. The median sold price as of March 5th is $441,000. Compare this to last year's peak, it was $574,000. This means that prices have decreased by about 23% compared to last year's highs. In contrast, compared to 1 year ago, home sold prices are down by only 13%. One more thing I do want to mention regarding Austin, Texas is look at the trajectory regarding prices this year compared to last year. So obviously last year prices were absolutely skyrocketing, and this year they're actually moving in the opposite direction. And if this trend line continues here, we're likely to see 2021's prices in Austin, Texas very, very soon. All right, so going back to Redfin's report here, these are the markets in which prices had decreased the most compared to 12 months ago. But in contrast though, here are the areas that have the biggest increases in home prices. And number one spot is actually in West Palm Beach, Florida, a gain of 12.7% on a year-over-year basis, followed by Milwaukee, a gain of 9%, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a gain of 7.2%, Virginia Beach, Virginia, a gain of 7%, and Miami, an increase of 6.8%. Regarding West Palm Beach, Florida, I mean, it's just remarkable, right? West Palm Beach, Florida, a gain of 13%, whereas San Jose is down by 17%. I always say this, real estate is local, every housing market's different, right? So here's West Palm Beach, Florida, right here. It's just totally different when comparing the changes in Austin, Texas, and San Jose, California, getting very close to levels we saw 2 years ago. Entirely different story in West Palm Beach, Florida, though, because look at this for March 5th, a gain of 10%, compared to a gain of 12.7% for the 4 weeks ended March 12th. But the gains in prices more or less going straight up here, getting very close to the peak we saw last year at 470,000, and now it's at approximately 446,000 is the median sold price as of March 5th this year. What's remarkable regarding prices in West Palm Beach, Florida as well, is when looking at prices today compared to the same time frame in 2021, they're up by 27%. Going from 351,000 we saw back in the beginning of March in 2021, and now it's at $446,000. One thing I do want to add regarding price trends on a national level right now is that, again, we're down by 1.8% on a year-over-year basis. So prices are down compared to 1 year ago for the nation as a whole. But this does not mean that housing is more affordable right now compared to 1 year ago due to the fact that rates have been increasing so much. So have a look at this. The monthly mortgage payment on the median asking price home was $2,556 per month at the 6.6% rate. So because rates were approximately 4.5% 12 months ago, and now they're around 6.6%, this means your average monthly housing payment, looking at the median asking price home, is an increase of 24%. The increase in average monthly housing payments, an increase of 24% compared to 1 year ago. And that's an increase of $499 per month or more per month compared to that same house today compared to 12 months ago. So even though prices are down compared to 1 year ago, your average monthly housing payment is still up by about 24%. Here's a chart from Redfin showing just that. Last week was an all-time record high regarding average monthly housing payments, and now we saw a slight decrease because we saw a slight decrease in rates. but still at $2,556. This is not too much far off the all-time record highs we saw last week. Something else worth noting here as well is that the levels right now above $2,500 per month for your average monthly housing payment is much higher compared to pre-COVID levels. Back at this time in more or less March of 2020, right before stay-at-home orders across the United States, your average payment was approximately $1,500. And that, of course, is a difference of $1,000 per month, or a 70% increase in your housing payment. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about pending home sales, a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, which of course is an early indication of home buying demand. So pending home sales were down 17.1% on a year-over-year basis. Also look at this. Contracts being signed fell in every single one of the 50 most populous US metros. They actually fell the most in Las Vegas, down by 53.5% from 12 months ago. Number 2 spot, Portland, Oregon, down by 48%. Sacramento, California, also down by 48%. Riverside, California, down by 45.9%. And Seattle, Washington, a decrease of 44.1%. So in other words, we're not talking about just one city in which contracts being signed are decreasing. Every single one of the 50 most populous metros are recorded decreases or have recorded decreases in contracts being signed from 1 year ago. Here's a chart showing pending sales over the past several years, going back to 2020. So right now there's 80,444 contracts that have been signed between buyers and sellers. 80,444, well below 2020 through 2022. Because, for example, in 2021, there's approximately 100,000. Now there's only 80,000. One thing I do want to mention is that contracts being signed absolutely skyrocketed in, let's just call it mid-January through mid-February, increasing greatly just like we saw in previous years. But now it's kind of sloughing off just like it did in 2022 in red, entirely normal. So contracts being signed are still increasing, but not the same rate as years past. And that's why we're seeing current levels right now far below the past several years. One thing that's pretty interesting right now as well is that even though we're seeing a decrease of home buying demand, we're also seeing a decrease in homeowners who are listing their houses for sale. So new listings actually fell 22.1% year over year, and that was the biggest decrease in nearly 3 months. So not only are buyers reluctant to sign contracts right now, but also homeowners are also don't have a lot of motivation to get their houses listed for sale as well. Here's a chart showing just that. New listings are down by 22% from 2022. For the 4 weeks ended March 12th, there was just over 72,000 houses that were listed for sale. Compare this to years past, there was around 90,000. And again, just like home prices and contracts being signed, new listings are still increasing, but not at the same clip as years past. And because of that, that's why we're down by 22% on a year-over-year basis here. Also, according to Redfin, new listings decreased in every single one of the 50 most populous metros except for one. So 49 of the 50 most populous US metros have recorded decreases of new listings from 12 months ago. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which actually was the biggest decrease, down by 65%. Wow. Sacramento, California, down by 48.1%. Oakland, down by 46%. San Francisco, down by 43%. San Jose, California, down by about 42%. In contrast, they actually increased in Nashville, Tennessee, an increase of 2.6%. Redfin also reported that active listings, which of course is the number of houses for sale at any given point during the period here, increased by 16.5% from a year ago, the smallest increase in more than 3 months. The month supply, which of course is a measure between the balance between buyers and sellers or demand and supply, the month supply was at 3 months, and that's down from 4 months a month earlier, but up by 1.9 months from a year ago. So of course, what this means is the month supply is around 3 months right now, 1 year ago, it was approximately 1 month supply. Here's a look at housing inventory according to Redfin right here. There's approximately 695,000 houses for sale, on par with 2021 right here, but above 2022, but still well below 2020. Back in 2020 this time, there was over 1 million houses for sale. Now there's only 695,000. And here's a look at the month supply. Again, it's at 3 months right now, which is down from the peak we saw more or less in February at 4.5 months. Now it's only 3 months. Well above 2021 and 2022, when the month supply was hovering around 2 to 2.2 months. But at 3 months, this is still below pre-COVID levels. Back in 2020, this time, the month supply was around 3.7 months. Let's also have a look at how fast or how slow houses are selling in the US, because days in the market 1 year ago was only 27 days, and now it's 46 days, a big increase compared to 1 year ago. Also at 46 days, this is also above 2021. Back in 2021, this time, days in the market was approximately 35 days. But back in 2020, this time, days in the market was approximately 53 days. Redfin also reported that approximately 24% of the houses that sold above the seller's final list price. So 24% of the time, houses selling over asking, which of course means that approximately 76% of the time, houses sold at or below the seller's final list price. And this, of course, is much different compared to 2022, because back then, approximately 45% of the time, houses were selling for over asking. Now it's only 24.2%. They also reported the average sale price to final list price ratio for March, and that's 98.3%, meaning houses on average sold for 2% below asking. In 2022, at this time, houses on average were selling for about 1% over asking. And in 2021, houses on average were selling for just under their asking price. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value out of this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.